Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me well now. So this is my first live stream, so I've tried to learn about the tools during the last couple of days, but I'm still a beginner at live streaming. So today, for the first official live stream on Farmer Leaf, what I'm going to do is brew some tea from Laumannra, but this is just a detail, because what I'm going to do in reality is talk about the geography of Yunnan, give a basic introduction of why, in my opinion, Yunnan has the best tea in the world. So we're going to see this through I'm going to start by talking about the climate, then we'll go on Google Earth. I'll show you a brief introduction of the main areas of Yunnan and why the climate of Yunnan is like it is currently. First, maybe you can tell me if there's any technical problem. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Is the sound right, the image right, and everything? And meanwhile, I'm going to show you just this cake. So this is a cake from Laumannra, spring 2023, last spring. And this is one of my favorite cakes because it gives you a really good chachi and has plenty of huigan, which hopefully will be helpful for this live stream session, because I need to be more talkative, I guess, and good tea typically makes you talkative. So let's see what happens. Let me first brew a cup of tea. So yeah, can you tell me please in the comment section if everything is working right? Okay, let's give a quick rinse. And so we will yesterday it was my birthday, and my Russian friend here came, and we had a discussion about why we live in Yunnan. And obviously it's because of the tea, because both of us are working in the tea industry. And so yeah, it'd be good to understand better, like why is Yunnan tea so interesting and what attracts so many foreigners. Actually, if you look at the Western oriented websites, a lot of them sell poor tea, and a lot of those foreigners are based or were based in Yunnan. So why is it so? So okay, the sound is a bit laggy. I did some test this morning and it was fine, but I have to use a VPN here, so the connection might be a bit hindered by the VPN. Okay, so you can just have a look maybe at the leaves. Yeah, like this. And we're going to start as soon as I brew this tea. Okay, so first we're going to go on Google Earth. So this is the Google Earth website, and first I don't put any names on the places. Google Earth is a tool I use a lot actually for my tea hunting, because you can see a lot of interesting things, and sometimes from the comfort of your home you can see even more than when you're in the village. You can better understand the topology and everything. So you can see this is Asia, and let's first start with the equator. So the equator is about south of India and goes through Singapore like this. So it's the equator because it's the middle of the earth, and that's where the sun shines the most at some point in the year. But actually we are near the tropics. We are at the tropics actually. The tropics are the Tropic of Cancer, I think, is about here. And so why is it the Tropic of Cancer? It's because the earth is tilted, right? That's why we have seasons. So when it's like this and the sun shines, the northern side of the earth is more exposed, and when the earth is on the other way, is the opposite, the southern. So that's why you have two tropic. And the tropic is the line at which the most powerful sun will be at its northernmost. So it will be in June here because we're in the north hemisphere. So in the middle of summer, actually, we will have the sun right on top of our head. The tropic goes through Xishuangbanna, I think. And so we are in the tropic or near the tropic. And so it has some implications for the climate. So what happens when you are at the tropics? Let's say, so you have your line here where the sun is on top of your head. And so that line, along that line, that's the hottest point on Earth, you could say. That's the one that's heating the most. And when the air heats, it expands, so you have lower pressure, and it tends to go up. And it will act a bit like a vacuum cleaner you would put here, so you ingest the air upside, and then the air on the sides will go like this, okay? So you will have some wind blowing. You will have wind blowing in that direction. The air will be attracted towards that warmer zone of the globe. And so what happens when you have the monsoon? It's a change in the wind direction. So as that line goes up, so let's say at the top of the summer, in the middle of summer, that line is at its northernmost. So we're near that line where the sun is very bright and is heating up a lot. And so you will have wind coming from this way, okay? And also a bit of wind coming from this way. But we are quite protected from the wind coming from the north because you have the Himalayas there. You have lots of mountains, okay? But the wind that comes from the south, it comes from the sea, and so it's very moist. It is charged in water, and this is what creates the rainy season. And so then at the end of summer, like for example right now, maybe that line is just going back down there. And then you will have the wind blowing in that direction, and it means that you're not getting that moist air anymore, and so you get a drier weather. So the monsoon, it's a combination of high temperature and also high moisture that comes from the sea. Okay, maybe I can show you this. Sorry, I just made a mess with my PowerPoint. Yeah, actually that hottest line on the Earth, it's not exactly the tropics, because it can also be influenced by the land masses. It's kind of attracted towards the land masses, because when the sun shines on the land mass, it will heat up more. It will increase in temperature more quickly than when the sea is under the sun. So if you have a lot of land mass, it tends to pull that zone. And this zone is called the ITCZ, the Intertropical Confluence Zone, or something like that. I think the sailors call it the dendrums, maybe. Anyway, the sailors are used to that because they generate what we call the trade winds, which allow you to navigate the Earth. And so you can see in July, so it's in the middle of summer, you will have the we will be we'll be a bit south actually of this ITCZ. So we will have the wind blowing our way, and you can see all that area below the ITCZ will be affected by the monsoon. And if you go, I used to live in India at some point, and you kind of get the monsoon twice at that time, because you have as the ITCZ goes up, and then as it goes down, you will have like very severe weather episodes. But the thing is, so let me just check that. Okay, then I will keep going. I will try to fix those noises later. It might be due to drivers or something. Okay, but let me go back on on this one. So let's go back on Google Earth. So we have 2 seasons in Yunnan. We're not really in a purely tropical climate. I checked about climate science, so there are like 29 different climates which are defined on the planet. This is called the Köppen climate zones. And so maybe I can show you here on my PowerPoint. So you see, this is the different climate zones in China. I won't explain all of them, but basically in Yunnan you have 2 of them. So Yunnan is just right here in the southwest of China. And you can see what's interesting on this map is, well, basically the green areas are more livable than the other colors, and that reflects well in the population density because you could say China is populated in maybe 1/3 of its surface. A lot of the places are like deserts, hot deserts like in Xinjiang, or cold deserts like you could consider Tibet or the north of China. Now, north of China is also quite populated. And so this is another perspective with the same climate zones. So looking at Southeast Asia, so you can see that Yunnan is in the north here. And well, you can see it has mainly 2 climate zones. The bright green one is the CWA, so it's a subtropical, what is it? Subtropical monsoon. And the CWB is subtropical highland. So it's basically the same thing happening, but at different altitudes. And Yunnan has a big gradient in altitude. Now, what's interesting on this thing that I just noticed today is that most of the tea grows in that bright green area, so in the subtropical monsoon climate. So that's quite interesting. You can see you have Assam here, I think. Well, you have Bangladesh, I guess, but yeah, this is Assam actually. So you have lots of tea growing there. Then you have lots of tea in northern Myanmar, which is hard to access because of the political reasons. And then you have the tea in Yunnan, and you have the tea in northern Vietnam, northern Laos, okay, and also northern Thailand. So this is kind of the original growing area of the tea. Now here is an altitude map of Yunnan, and you can now understand why there are 2 climate zones. It really depends on the altitude. So the more you go north, the higher the mountains, because we are at the foothills of the Himalayas. I can show you on Google Earth. Let me just put the borders. So you have Yunnan here in the center, and you can see here that this is, so you have the Himalayas there, okay. So you could say that Yunnan is at the foothills of the Himalayas. And now if you compare, just let's zoom in a bit again on Yunnan. If you look at Yunnan, here you have a kind of difference in color. You can see at the south of this line it's more green than at the north, and when you travel through Yunnan this is obvious. When the north is more like subtropical highland, like I said, a different climate zone, and so it's more, well, it feels less tropical. You could say it feels more temperate overall. Now overall the climate in Yunnan is quite mild, and this is really thanks to the high altitude. If you go to low altitude areas like maybe this these areas like Monglun in Xishuangbanna, it can get super hot, so it feels more like you're in Vietnam or something. And you can see this difference of color. So let's stay on Google Earth a bit. you can see here there are two straight lines at the center of Yunnan, and these are big mountain ranges. Let me just zoom in a bit again. You have one big mountain here that extends all the way to the coast. So here is the Red River that flows down to Hanoi, okay? And this mountain is Ai Lau Mountain, and it really delineates the north and the south of Yunnan. And even culturally, you know, like we eat different dishes, and the dialects can feel a bit different. And so yeah, it's interesting because I took a trip to Vietnam. Well, I went to those areas, those hilly areas there, but next time I would like to explore here, because it's basically the extension of Ai Lau Mountain. You can see that this is a very straight mountain. You can see like this, and parallel to Ai Lau Mountain is Wuliang Mountain. Same, so you have the valley, you have a little town called Jingdong here, and on these places you have nice tea and really beautiful forest. Ai Lau Mountain, that's where our oolong tea come from Mr. Huang, maybe around that place, really quite deep in the forest. And so what happened? I think we had a small disconnection, but I will keep going and hopefully the things will sort themselves. So if you continue along Ai Lau Mountain here, you arrive to a couple of hills. So this is basically all that mountain range, and you can see the Red River on the eastern side, and you arrive to the Gulf of Tonkin. So when we get rain in Yunnan, it comes a lot from the Gulf of Tonkin. But interestingly, we're not too far as well from the Indian Ocean, so we might also get some influence from the Indian Ocean, you see. So probably the rain comes from both this direction and also from that direction, because there aren't that many mountains at this point here. Now the problem is the moist air, it's kind of stopped by the mountains. The rain is stopped by the mountains, and we can see that clearly. When I went to Vietnam a couple of months ago, I was surprised to learn that in spring there they have intense rains, while it's very dry in Yunnan, and that's what allows us to make a good pu'er tea. Because it's dry, we can take advantage of the sun. We have no problem drying the tea. You have that water stress on the tea leaves, on the tea trees, which allows for the tea leaves to grow slowly and therefore accumulate more polyphenols and stuff. And in that place where I went to, in Hazang there, they couldn't benefit from that. And what I think is that you have all the moist air that is all the, let me just recenter the map a bit better. You have all the moist air that's coming from this direction, and as it meets the mountains, it has to go up, the temperatures go colder, and so it cannot retain all that moisture, and it rains. And behind the mountain, so if you go behind the mountain over there, then it might be drier. This is called the Fon effect. So when you have a big mountain, and well, the same happens, for example, that's why the Tibetan plateau is so dry, you see, because when you have the air, the moist air coming from here, it just falls there, and then you have no more moisture in the air once it goes through the mountain passes. So yeah, I thought that's two things you need to understand the climate. But yeah, so it could be quite a harsh climate if it weren't for the altitude. If you look Myanmar or lower altitude areas, even like Hanoi is super hot, but Yunnan not so much. And so then if we look at something else, so you have the altitude gradient, and so you can see actually the tea grows only in the southwest of Yunnan. So again, just close to again, just the tea grows south here, so in those areas. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a bit messed up here. Yeah, so the tea production area is around here, I would say. Even at the top here, you wouldn't have that much tea because it's too high altitude generally. So all the good tea, the good pu'er tea that we make grows in that area. Okay, let me just have a cup of tea and read the comments. So, yeah, thank you very much for my birthday. I'm 33 now. Okay, so yeah, I will just continue the presentation. Thanks for putting comments, and feel free to ask questions as I do my presentation, because I'd like to experiment with the interactivity of the live stream. So yeah, what was I supposed to explain? We can talk also about, so we've talked about the climate. We have a special climate, higher altitude, so tropical, but not tropical as you imagine, because it's high altitude, okay? And that's what allows us to make tea, because tea usually grows in those climates. And we have two distinct seasons. So it's because we're near the tropics. If you are like at the equator, usually you have like two rainy seasons, and in the middle maybe a milder season, because the ITCZ just moves twice through you. Now Yunnan is very prone to droughts, and this is something I didn't find enough information about, but Yunnan has been prone to droughts for as long I've been here. Many years we have very severe drought. That might also help to make good tea actually, but I don't understand exactly why there are so many droughts in Yunnan. That would require further research. Now I would just like to talk about the precipitations. So you can also see that also, same as with the altitude, you can see quite a pattern here. The high altitude areas are much drier than where we live. So we're in Pu'er right here, and you can see Linsang, Xishuangbanna. These are the main tea producing areas, and they receive quite a lot of rain. I was also surprised to see that the east of Xishuangbanna has more rain than the west. You can see this is the Monghai area in the west of Xishuangbanna, and it has less rain than the Iwu area and the 6 famous tea mountains. So that's quite interesting, and something probably that I will discuss with tea farmers and stuff. Oh yeah, and so now I would like to go into the harder stuff. I will go on the website because they have a better map here. This is a geological map. It's all in Chinese, and honestly I couldn't really figure it out. That would require more extensive research. But what you can see going through this map is the huge diversity, the complexity of the geological landscape. Now I'm thinking that probably I would think that probably the taste of tea would be influenced by the bedrock, by the nature of the rock, because the soil on which the tea grows is made of the bedrock, which is weathered by physical and chemical and biological events. And so different bedrocks, you could think, would give you different tasting tea. So I just started exploring this thing. What we can see here is, I don't know if I can draw on this. Let me see. You can see Monghai. No, I cannot draw here. Really? Okay. You can see Monghai about in the center here, in the red area. So you have the big area, and at the bottom of that big area is Monghai. And so in the south, that magical place that I like to call, because I love the tea from the south of Monghai, such as this Lamana, you have one color. So that's quite interesting, and I'd be interested in observing the other areas of that same color and see if we could get some good tea there. But otherwise you cannot say much, because I was trying to look at the famous tea mountains, and it seems very heterogeneous. You have you can see in the east Iwu is green, and then you have lots of patterns, so that would really take an expert to make sense of that. But maybe with a bit of research we could find some correlations. What we can see, we usually say that the tea east of the Mekong are milder, and you can see that east of the Mekong it's all that green and blue, while in the west you have lots of those red and dark colors. They have the legend here, but it looks quite complicated. It's all in Chinese, but I think even with translating I would need to research a bit more about this. But I didn't show you the map, I'm sorry. This is the map. This is the map. So so I was just saying, you can see the different kinds of colors, and it's very heterogeneous, so I don't really know what to make of it. Apart from Yunnan, you can see, has a very complicated topography. Okay, so then I'd like to talk a bit about the ethnic groups in Yunnan. I haven't prepared any slide about this, so I will set it aside for some time, but you have like 56 officially recognized ethnic groups in China, and 26 of them live in Yunnan, so it has a really large diversity of ethnic groups and languages, and you can definitely feel this when you travel around here. That makes the area really interesting. For example, this tea from Laomana is made by the Bulang, and the Bulang, they seem like the most hardcore tea people. I think in every Bulang village you will find some ancient tea gardens, or they like to plant the gardens around their village. Their tea tends to be strong. Then the second group, which is a lot into tea, is the Hani. You have a lot of Hani also in Sichuanbana. The Hani, they go from basically like from Mongsong, all around Monghai you have Hani. Mongsong, Nano, Pasha, Laobanzang, and then to the Burmese border. I can show you that on Google Maps actually. Let me just check. Okay. So we're currently in Pu'er City. This is Pu'er City. I'm just making sure that you can see. My house is there. This is our building, and I'm talking to you here from the second floor of my house. It's in the middle of those tea producing areas, but there aren't many famous tea mountains very close to Pu'er. Okay, so we can go south and we can see that here we have the Mekong River here, and this is Jinghong, the capital of Xishuangbanna. It's a touristy city, but not really specialized in tea. To go to the specialized area in tea, you can go east to Yiwu and the 6 famous tea mountains, but I will first go west. And here you have another town which is called Monghai. And Monghai is the capital, you could say, of Pu'er tea currently. This is the city, and you can see a bit north of Monghai you have that area called Bagongli, and all these are tea factories. And you can imagine that all this surface is covered in Pu'er tea, which is piled up and fermenting. They make ripe pu'er in Bagongli, so a lot of the ripe pu'er you drink comes from there. And so then if you want to look, maybe I can put some names around here. Okay, let's first get rid of the names. Actually, it's always better not to be influenced by this. So you can see you have a big plateau in Monghai, and in the west you have an even bigger plateau, and in the south as well. And so these were the bread baskets, really. They had the Dai ethnic groups, or the dominant ethnic group in Xishuangbanna, and they had a kingdom just about 100 years ago, at the time of the Chinese Empire. This place didn't belong to China. It was the Dai kingdom, and it was kind of a vassal state, you could say, like a tributary state. And so I think at that time the capital was in the west, near that in that big plateau there. If you go north of Monghai, you have those big mountains, and I think all those places are populated by the Hani and maybe some Lahu. Let's see if the 3D works here. Yeah, we can see the mountains. So if we try to go from Monghai there, just in the northwest, we have those big mountains. This is the highest point, I think 2,500 meters, something like that. And this is Huazhuliangzi mountain. Very fragrant tea over there. But I would like to go further into detail for those small areas in a future live stream. Actually, that's my plan. Maybe I would like to start from south to north or something like that, and explain more about the tea mountains. And if you drive south, you go to that other plateau with lots of rice fields, and this is Monghun. You have delicious barbecue in that little town over there. When I go to the tea mountains, I always try to stop by and grab some pork and stuff. And in the south here, that's where the magic place is. You can see a group of mountains like this. It looks a bit like a spaceship, you could say. And in that place, you have that's where you have the good tea, really. So that big valley is already in Myanmar. I think the border with China is in another small valley. Here you can see I'm zooming in on Bulangshan town. And so it's the southernmost part of this area. This is about the border. And this is in that area that you have Lauman. If you go a bit up here, you will find this is Lauman. And you can see on this place, you can see clearly on Google Maps the ancient tea gardens. So when people tell you there are ancient tea gardens in a place, you can easily check that on Google Maps. You can see this on the left is natural forests. It has a dense forest cover. And the Gushu gardens, usually they will have a sparse, moderate forest cover. And then you can also see some plantations more in the open field. what they use for the what we call the Chao Mu, or the small trees, Shangtai. And you can see Laomana is at low altitude, is 1,200 meters, but actually the tea gardens are a bit higher. And then when you go up the road here, here you just arrive to Xinbanzang. I would say this is Xinbanzang. On the left here you have Bakanoi, not far from Xinbanzang. We had really good tea from that place. They have, you can see their Gushu gardens are in the north on that hill. So I like to go on Google Earth also to estimate the size of the tea gardens. You can compare a bit. You can see Xinbanzang would be in the east. They have some gardens there, Bakanoi. And then more in the north you have Laobanzang here. Laobanzang is there, and all of this is mostly ancient tea gardens. Then you go up, keep going north, you have Banpen in the corner here. Then you keep going up, so you have that interesting lake there. You keep going. This is Mannong. We also source our Hekai 2023 Hekai comes from that village, and they have one of the largest ancient tea gardens. You can see that all that place is covered in tea gardens. And then so you have like Mannong, this is Manmai on the side. Okay, usually Manmai is supposed to be to taste better, or at least it's more expensive than Mannong, but I'm not very knowledgeable about the difference between the two villages. And then you go back to that big plateau. So actually if you have the opportunity to travel to Xishuangbanna, that's where I recommend you go. You know, you can rent a car from Jinghong and then drive directly to Monghun, or just go to Monghai. And then you can take a loop actually through this big mountain spaceship. You see, you can go back also around this way like this. It has beautiful mountains and extremely good tea in my opinion. And then okay, let's try to find Jingmai then. We can go, so we go back from Monghai, we go through the big plateau. There's a long road that feels like to go forever, but really beautiful landscape. Then you have that big mountain, and then you arrive in another more flat area. This is Mongman, they are also Dai. And then you leave Xishuangbanna. The border with Xishuangbanna is around here. And then this is Huimin town at the bottom of Jingmai. And so you take a small road over there and you will be in Jingmai in no time. So let me see exactly. Can you see the tea gardens of Jingmai here? Yes, I can see them. Here actually this is Jingmai mountain, and you can see the large amount of ancient tea gardens that we have, especially in the main village. So you can see here our house is here, I think. But these are all pictures. I think these are pictures from 2013. Okay, so the village has changed a lot now. We have lots of neighbors and everything. We used to be at the bottom here with a really quiet place, and you can see all the more sparse forest cover. It's all Tapingzhang, the plateau here. And in the west, these are the natural tea gardens. Back in 2013 they were not so covered by forest, but since then they have planted shade trees. I can show you maybe a 3D view. So here you can clearly see that it's a pretty flat area. You see, to go on Tapingzhang, you take that road, and this is really the middle of Tapingzhang. And then you keep going and you go through all the plantations. And the elevation here is 1,600 meters on the plateau. So it's a pretty big tea mountain. It might not be the most detailed place, like we only talk about Jingmai tea typically, but it's a place with a lot of tea. And then, okay, we can just keep going up. So you go up there, you will arrive in Lansang. You have that city. You have tea in Lansang area everywhere. Lately, we had good tea from Fazhanhe. You can see this big mountain range in the southeast of Lansang that you can see actually from Jingmai. This is Fazhanhe. This is very high altitude. And in some places, you can see spots where they have tea gardens. Maybe here. This could be tea gardens there. Or maybe not. But you see, before going to a trip, sometimes I like to spend some time on Google Earth. And this is how we found Fazhanhe. I was thinking, yeah, well, what might be hidden in that big mountain range there? Because you know, altitude is quite an important factor for good tea. So I try to go to the areas between maybe 1,400 and 2,000 meters high. Okay, we could talk a lot about Lansang, but I would like to have more detailed and more detailed videos. If you keep going north, you cross many mountain ranges, and then you come across a very interesting pattern here. You see those here. You really have two mountains that join each other, and so this is Shibanshan, the western mountain, and this is Dongbanshan, and about here is Bingdao. So this is Mengku area. You can see here you have Shuangjiang, which is a city the size of Monghai, with also a lot of tea trade going on. Then you go up, drive for maybe half an hour, and you arrive in a much nicer, smaller town, more laid back, which is Mengku. Mengku is a gem, so it's a pretty small town. And from Mengku you can easily explore. You have roads going there, and you can easily explore the Mengku area. What I find interesting, especially on Shibanshan, if you look like this, from the top it looks like a straight line, but it's kind of like this. You see, you have so you have lots of small hills on the side of Shibanshan, and so here is the Tashuishan, the big snow mountain. And so you have so you don't have tea really on top because the altitude is too high, 3,200 I think. By looking like this, you can clearly see a difference in crop composition. So at the bottom you can have paddy fields, and then the tea usually occupies the middle stage between maybe 1,400 and 2,200 meters of altitude. And so you have all those not so famous villages, I would say, like you have Xiaohusai, Tahusai, Dongguo, Molier, Bingdao, all these villages. But yeah, again, I will probably make a more dedicated live stream for all of these regions. There you also have a mountain range that I'd like to explore. You figure that the countryside in Yunnan is so big, and it takes so much time to explore these areas. So the surface on which grows tea in Yunnan, you could say it's about the same surface as where on which wine grows in France. So it's actually a huge thing to explore, and that's why I only sell tea from Yunnan on my website, because I wouldn't have time to properly study the tea from all the provinces. And I know they have good tea in Fujian as well, but I would need to stay there for a couple of months at least, I guess, to get a good understanding of that. So yeah, that's why I make mainly Yunnan tea. But in Yunnan, you also get a wide diversity of tea. I've been talking about pu'er tea mainly. Well, let me just finish this tour quickly. We go up, usually we go around this mountain, because I think they have the highway now, or you can also go up there through the valley. This is a beautiful place, Mongku. If you have time to go, you can also go to Mongku. But I think you need to speak Chinese, otherwise it will be pretty hard, because it feels a bit more remote, you could say. This is Linsang. They even have an airport you can see in Linsang. Is it an airport? Yeah, I think that's the airport there. So quite convenient place. And they also have both pu'er tea and also interesting black tea and different kinds of teas in Linsang. If you go southwest, I'm not so familiar. I think you have in the northwest of Linsang, you will have Yongde, a place I've never been to. And even further in the north, you will have Fengqing. I think it might be there. Let me see. I'm gonna cheat and add the names. It's Baoshan. Okay, I went too far. Baoshan also has a little bit of tea, but I'm not too familiar because they don't do much pu'er tea. So you have the Lansang River here, and so where is Fengqing? I went there last time. I was right around this spot. You could see they have a dam there, so the Lansang River expands. Okay, Fengqing is there. Yeah, Fengqing is very famous for black tea. It might be the oldest industry. I think the oldest tea industry in Yunnan, most traditional, is black tea for export. Okay, I'm gonna brew again that tea. I feel it's only the beginning for that tea. Yeah, I went to Fengqing, but I was a bit disappointed honestly. I expected to find a better black tea. Now it's a very good price for value, you could say. They have their own specific varietal, and it was interesting to visit. It's also pretty high altitude places, but I didn't find tea that I would find like I must add them on the website, you know. And when you try a tea and you ask yourself like, should I buy it and sell it on Farmer Leaf, then the answer is no. You shouldn't ask yourself the question. It should come naturally. I think in that mountain you have the oldest tea tree, which is like 3,200 years old. Yeah, sorry, I think my camera is overheating now, so I think I'm going to have to end this stream soon, but I don't know. Maybe it will work. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, so Xiangzhulin, I haven't visited, but that's where they have the biggest tea tree. Okay, so we went quite far north, you see, and then you don't have tea north of that because it becomes really big mountains. But if you go back to the east here, you can see again Wuliang Mountain here and Ailao Mountain. You can see here Wuliang and Ailao, and you have the town of Jingdong, which is here, and I think you have Zhenyuan town, which is there. Absolutely beautiful landscape over there. I really recommend. That's maybe my favorite place in Yunnan when I want to escape from the, or I don't know, when I just want to have good food, look at beautiful landscapes, and meet really nice people. I just go there, and of course always look for tea. Yeah, and basically no, for that then you don't have tea. Then in Pur it's quite complicated. You could see between Mongku, so if you look, Mongku is here, you have the two mountains there. You have Wuliang Mountain. In the west there you have Jinggu, so I think Jinggu is around here, and then Zhenyuan is around there. So these are a bit less famous. Well, I will take more time to prepare and really try to dissecate the geography of the place. But you see, when I go on Google Earth, I like to erase all the borders and try to read the world. And in a way, drinking tea is an extension of that, because when you're drinking tea, you can just explore the landscape through your cup. And that's the main reason, I think, why I'm in the tea business. I don't know exactly why I do this thing, but I'm constantly like interested in those things, in trying different teas and going to a place and think, wow, what will the tea taste like in that place? So what do you think about all this? And you can tell me in the comments maybe what kind of subjects, because now that I have this setup for the live stream, of course I will save this live stream on YouTube, because I know lots of people don't have time to watch a live stream at this spot, especially considering the jet lag and stuff. But just tell me what you would like. Just tell me what kind of content you would like to have. I really like to explore the geography, and now that I kind of master the tools to go on the internet and Google Earth, I think we can do a lot with that. So maybe I would like to enjoy with you different teas. Yeah, let me just describe a bit that tea. So you can see here like the tea soup. The tea soup is quite thick. And that's really, to me, a characteristic of Laomana, I would say. Laomana is, we often say that Laomana is very bitter, but to me it's not the main characteristics, because lots of other teas are bitter. But first, in good Laomana tea, the bitterness should still be bearable. It should feel powerful, but not nasty, you see? Like last week, I was in Lansang, and I was drinking tea with a tea business guy, one of my friends in Lansang. And he brewed that tea, and I had a sip, and I said, no, I'm not going to drink that anymore. It really tasted like poison. He said it was Laomana tea, but it's definitely not, because even the bitter tea varietal in Laomana doesn't taste that bitter. Like you have bitter tea in northern Laos, you have it in Bulangshan, and you have some of those varietals can taste really, really bad. And I could say that's the nastiest Pur tea I could get. And yet, Laomana is my favorite because it has a powerful bitterness, but it's quite bearable. It gets inside your body quite nice, and it vanishes quite quickly. Especially with the sweet varietal. You have two varietals in Laomana, the sweet and the bitter. And I have a cake of the bitter, a 2014 cake, which I had for my birthday yesterday, actually. Which is also really nice, and thanks to, well, first, when you use the gushu for the bitter tea, it's a bit less nasty than the small trees. And second, with the aging, especially stored in the village, it tends to be more palatable, you could say. But this is the sweet varietal. Now, despite its name, it's still bitter, but it's called sweet because the bitterness kind of vanishes quite quickly. And this tea is also very long brewing. You can make maybe 10, 15 infusions. I like to brew quite strong, so I'm quite conservative on my numbers, but I would say 10 strong brews at least. I don't know how many I've had today. And maybe just, yeah, to finish, I'd like to show you some landscape while I'm drinking tea, and I will be checking your comments, and the comments are also saved. They will be available on the YouTube video. So I hope you will enjoy this new format of live streaming. I think it can be a new way to interact with the audience, and also I think a way to entice me to create more content, more videos, because sometimes I want to shoot the videos, but I try to think about the subject and I get stuck. Even for this, I had to put the countdown, set a time for the live stream, because sorry, it seems we had a disconnection. I think it's due to my VPN, but yeah, I think this live stream format can open a new horizon for the channel and for the kind of content that I'd like to create, because ultimately my mission really is to just spread the pu'er tea culture and try to explain all the complexity of it. And well, sometimes I'm a bit disappointed, you could say, or not really disappointed, but I feel I need to work harder on that side, because I feel that a lot of the pu'er tea marketing is going towards the more like funny wrappers, funny names, and not talking too much about the terroir and stuff, which is fine, of course, but I'm the advocate really of the terroir, of studying that pu'er tea, doing the research and understanding what's uncovering the treasures that are hidden in that beverage, things that you can understand through drinking tea, and so this is something that yeah, this is something I'd like to, so I need to work harder on this, otherwise I feel that we're going to lose the battle and let just more mainstream hipster marketing take over. And I feel it's very important because there's so much knowledge to uncover and things to understand. I'm happy through this live stream because it got me to study that climate stuff that I talked about at the start, and yeah, I didn't know all this before, so I learned about how the monsoon works and things, and now when I see the clouds I can understand them in a different way. And so yeah, those pu'er tea cakes, they are the 2022 million actually, and because last week some Vietnamese tea farmers visited me and I saw them around in my warehouse, and one of the guys just grabs the dehumidifier. He didn't know what it was, and there was water in the dehumidifier, and the container just slid on the ground, and it just splashed my 2022 Jingmai Miyun. So all these are cakes. Fortunately, the wrappers we use are slightly waterproof, so we took them out immediately, and so the tea has not been damaged at all. And I just need to repack them. Yeah, I need to take care of this, find some wrappers of 2022 Miyun if I still have them, and then I will repackage them. But meanwhile they were here, I thought, why not put them here for the live stream to have a nice environment. So yeah, any good coffee table books on poor geography, Yunnan in general? I don't know so much actually. I was a bit frustrated at the lack of information on even on Google. I quickly had to go to Google Scholar to get more advanced knowledge on the climate and stuff, because I didn't find any really easy content like YouTube videos. And for the books, I don't really know. One of the best books I've read is an account from 100 years ago from a French adventurer who traveled from Pu'er to Xishuangbanna, then Monghai, then Yiwu, and he talked about how the tea was at that time. But it's all in French. Maybe at some point I will try to tell you a summary of all this. So I think I'm going to end the live session now. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me see. So obviously we had some connection problems. I think it's a problem with my VPN mainly. Anyway, I have a recording on my computer, so I think I'll be able to just upload a clean video on YouTube. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you later. Bye bye.